Burkina Faso's sun had barely risen when President Ibrahim Traoré was already on high alert. The capital city, Ouagadougou, hummed with its usual morning energy, but Traoré's mind was focused elsewhere. Reports had reached him through an anonymous tip. A secret convoy was moving through the northern forests, carrying rare and stolen logs destined for the black market. These were not ordinary logs. Some were centuries old, timber so precious that international smugglers would pay fortunes to acquire them. But beyond their monetary value, these trees were irreplaceable symbols of Burkina Faso's natural heritage. Their loss would be a wound to the nation itself. Traoré didn't hesitate. He knew that conventional authorities often turned a blind eye to illegal logging, entangled as they were in bureaucratic procedures and corruption. He had promised the people that his administration would protect the country's resources, no matter the cost. Today, he intended to prove that promise. Within an hour, he had assembled a special task force, handpicked for their loyalty and expertise in forest operations. Helicopters hovered over the northern borders, while ground teams moved stealthily through dense foliage. Traoré himself insisted on being part of the operation. "If we do not lead, who will?" he told his commanders. His determination was palpable, his presence a rallying cry to those who followed him. The forest was alive with whispers, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of birds, the faint hum of engines. Traoré's team moved quietly, their boots sinking into the soft earth, their eyes scanning for any signs of the convoy. Hours passed. Tension mounted. Then, as the sun reached its peak, a plume of dust appeared on a distant road. The convoy. It consisted of several trucks, each heavily guarded and loaded with crates. The wood inside was unmistakable: ebony, mahogany, and other rare species that had been stolen from protected reserves. The smugglers had clearly underestimated the vigilance of Traoré's intelligence network. The president gave a sharp nod, and his forces sprang into action. The operation was precise. Helicopters buzzed above, signaling the convoy to stop, while elite ground units surrounded the vehicles from all sides. The smugglers panicked, engines revving in a desperate attempt to escape. But there was nowhere to run. Traoré approached the convoy personally, flanked by armed guards, his presence commanding immediate respect. "Stop this at once," he said firmly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "These logs belong to the people of Burkina Faso, and you will answer for stealing them." The leader of the smugglers, a tall man with hardened eyes, sneered. "And what can you do, President? You have no power over us." Traoré's response was calm but unyielding. "I have the law, the people, and the will to protect our nation. That is more than enough." A tense standoff followed. Negotiations were brief. Traoré made it clear that anyone attempting to flee would face immediate arrest and prosecution. Within minutes, the smugglers realized they were trapped. The convoy was seized, the stolen timber secured, and the culprits detained. But Traoré's vision extended beyond merely intercepting a single shipment. He knew that illegal logging was a systemic problem, fueled by corruption, poverty, and global demand for rare timber. To address it, he called an emergency meeting with the ministers of environment, justice, and internal security. Plans were quickly drafted: tougher enforcement, satellite monitoring of forests, and community-based programs to provide alternative livelihoods for those tempted into the black market trade. The president's decisive action sent ripples through the nation. Media outlets, though often cautious about criticizing the government, could not ignore the audacity of the operation. Social media erupted with admiration for Traoré's courage and commitment. Citizens expressed pride in their leader, seeing him as a guardian not only of law and order but also of Burkina Faso's natural treasures. Yet, Traoré knew that symbols and headlines alone would not solve the problem. He personally visited the northern forests days later, walking among the trees that had been spared. Each trunk, each branch, each leaf seemed to speak to him. Protecting these forests was not just about timber. It was about heritage, culture, and the future of generations yet to come. During his visit, he met with local villagers, many of whom depended on the forest for their livelihoods. Traoré listened to their concerns, understanding that poverty often drove people to take desperate measures. He promised support, training programs, sustainable harvesting techniques, and economic incentives that would allow communities to benefit without destroying the environment. The villagers, inspired by his sincerity, pledged their cooperation in monitoring and protecting the forests. International observers took note as well. Environmental NGOs praised Traoré's swift action and called it a model for other nations facing similar challenges. However, he remained cautious. He knew that smugglers would adapt, finding new routes or corrupt officials willing to look the other way. The battle to protect Burkina Faso's forests was ongoing. Yet the president's unwavering resolve had sent a powerful message. Illegal exploitation of natural resources would not be tolerated, and the country's ecological treasures were worth defending at any cost. In the weeks that followed, the government established permanent forest patrols, combining modern technology with local knowledge. Drones monitored remote regions, while rangers, trained and equipped by the state, conducted regular inspections. Communities participated in awareness campaigns, understanding that their participation was crucial. Schools incorporated environmental education, teaching children the value of biodiversity and the dangers of deforestation. Traoré's bold move also inspired a cultural shift. Artists, writers, and filmmakers began creating works celebrating the forests and the people who protected them. Documentaries, plays, and novels depicted the president's decisive action, blending fact and fiction to emphasize the importance of stewardship and civic duty. Burkina Faso's forests, once silently threatened, now had champions in every corner of society. Despite the accolades, Traoré remained grounded. He often returned to the northern forests, walking among the trees and rivers, reflecting on the delicate balance between development and conservation. He understood that leadership required vigilance, courage, and empathy. His actions had prevented immediate disaster, but the true test lay in sustaining protection, building resilient communities, and maintaining a moral compass in the face of temptation and greed. Months later, a follow-up operation intercepted another attempted shipment. This time, smugglers had attempted a more sophisticated approach, using forged documents and bribed officials. But Burkina Faso's intelligence network, strengthened and motivated by the president's example, acted decisively. Once again, Traoré's leadership ensured the protection of the forests. By the end of the year, Burkina Faso had not only recovered stolen timber, but had also established one of the most comprehensive anti-deforestation programs in the region. Other nations began studying the model, seeing the benefits of strong leadership combined with community engagement. Traoré had turned a moment of crisis into an opportunity for systemic change. Standing in the shade of a centuries-old tree, Traoré reflected on the journey. What had begun as a singular operation to stop illegal logging had transformed into a national movement for environmental protection, civic pride, and ethical governance. The message was clear: exploitation would be met with courage, and stewardship of the land was a responsibility shared by all. In this fictional account, President Ibrahim Traoré's story reminds us of the power of decisive action, the importance of protecting natural resources, and the potential for one leader to inspire a nation. Though the events described are entirely fictional, the themes resonate universally: courage, integrity, and the enduring need to safeguard the environment for future generations. The forests of Burkina Faso, alive with the songs of birds, the whispers of leaves, and the resilience of their people, stand as a testament to what can be achieved when vision meets action. And in every rustling branch and sunlit clearing, one can almost hear the echo of a promise that the natural world, once threatened, can be defended with determination, foresight, and unwavering moral resolve.